Senators passing the resolution to extend the country's state of emergency, another COVID death reported here in the capital, and curfew kicked in for some family islands experiencing a surge in COVID infections. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian. It's Thursday, May 20th. Thanks for staying with us. Senators debating the extension of the emergency powers COVID-19 pandemic order to August 13th this morning in the upper chamber, and Attorney General Carl Bethel, during his contribution, raised concerns in the international community during these perilous times. With the details, we go to our Leah Cooper.
Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Attorney General Senator Carl Bethel, maintaining the views of his colleagues in the lower chamber, and says the emergency does continue, especially as cases on New Providence varies between 48 to 60 cases per day. Citing a nursing shortage reported by the health minister earlier this week, Mr. Bethel says this.
The major countries to our north have been in the habit of recruiting our nurses who we educated from preschools at the public expense all the way up and assisted in getting their qualifications all the way up, and yet they are being and it's a reality. I do not blame them for taking these opportunities, because at the end of the day we only have one life to live. But I point out that it is a relentless and predatory practice where the larger and richer countries just basically offer greater inducements to cause necessary skilled professionals to leave their own country of origin, where they're desperately needed, and go elsewhere.
He adds that these are perilous realities that affects the nation. Now, when it comes to testing for variants, Senator Bethel also touched on what he's labeling the predatory dominance of laboratory facilities by wealthy countries.
It is absolutely abhorrent what is going on in the global community. There has not been a collapse of global comity, stability of such a magnitude since we had World War II. The whole fabric of international cooperation, international respect, and mutual support seems to have evaporated in the face of this virus, where it's every man for himself.
Senator Bethel charges that this practice is totally unacceptable, adding that it violates the very ethos of the post-war era of international mutual respect and cooperation.
And outreach and assistance to those countries whose development was inhibited by 500 years of colonial exploitation, murder, rape, theft. And yet we see, in terms of the vaccine, in terms of these things, that these countries are right back at it again. And it only serves to say that, I guess, when all is said and done, the strongest of our instincts is self-preservation. It militates against everything, even common humanity.
Reporting for Jcn News, I'm Leah Cooper.
The national COVID-19 death toll rises to 222 as health officials confirm the unfortunate death of a 73-year-old female of New Providence who died on May 19th. In the Ministry of Health's latest update, health officials also confirm 75 new COVID-19 infections reported for the same day. That's 61 here in the capital, 8 over on Cat Island, and 2 cases each for Grand Bahama, the Berry Islands, and Andros. The national total now stands at 11,396. A further breakdown of those cases show that 39 are males and 36 are females. 51 cases are currently hospitalized, with 47 cases considered moderately ill and 4 in the intensive care unit. Active cases stand at 876, with 67 recoveries yesterday, bringing the total in that category to 10,221. Total non-COVID-19 deaths stand at 51, with 26 deaths under investigation. A total of 371 tests were completed yesterday, with 282 negative results. 10 repeat tests and 4 inconclusive. To date, a total of 94,058 tests have been completed. Well, certainly family islands are receiving stricter COVID-19 mitigation measures due to an increase in cases. Those measures kicked in today, so says Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis during his contribution to the debate to the resolution to extend the state of emergency.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to note a number of changes of the emergency orders on the recommendation of health officials because of concern for an increase in cases in Andros, an increase in cases in the Berry Islands and Cat Island. The daily curfew will now be from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. effective Thursday, the 20th of May 2021. Health teams are headed to these islands for outbreak investigations, and vaccination teams will also be deployed to these islands. Any other additional measures will be announced depending on the findings of the investigation team. And these recommendations, Mr. Speaker, will be made in the coming week.
Just today, Cat Island recorded 8 new COVID-19 infections, while Andros and the Berry Islands recorded 2. On Monday, May 17th, Cat Island recorded a whopping 17 cases and 1 for the Berry Islands. Curfews have been lifted from Abaco, Eleuthera, and Exuma, while Grand Bahama's daily curfew remains at 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. and New Providence's curfew remains from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Businesses the world over are being forced to make difficult decisions, including those related to staff. Atlantis Resort making such decisions as earlier this week, the resort parted ways with some 700 employees. And that's not sitting well with the local United Labor Movement, as the group is expressing concerns about the potential for foreign-owned businesses to avoid their responsibilities and leave Bahamian workers disadvantaged should they have to close or downsize. Jarino Saunders has more.
The Bahamian economy, and more specifically the tourism industry, suffering yet another major blow amidst the continuing surge of COVID-19 cases in the country. As on Tuesday, Atlantis Paradise Island, one of the country's largest employers, announced 700 employees have become redundant, with tourism numbers continuing to be sluggish, even as the world slowly recovers and travel restrictions begin to ease. Well, the United Labor Movement, which includes the Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union, says it has several concerns about what is happening at Atlantis and the many who are negatively impacted.
It's very unfortunate, it's very unfortunate that 700 workers, there are 700 Bahamian workers. And, if you multiply that by at least another 4 or 5, you're not only talking about 700, you're talking about 2,800 or the other 3,000 people are directly affected. So it's a major concern to us.
That's Trade Union Congress President Obi Ferguson, who adds the unions also have concerns regarding the way some foreign investing companies are allowed to set up their businesses in a way that allows opportunities for such to evade their responsibilities to the workers.
But I go back to the point I made, Mr. Sanders, is that what we need to do in the Bahamas, we need to establish an emergency fund or redundancy fund, because when these companies go belly up, there's nothing there for the workers to get. Because what happened? The government of the day is allowing these companies to come in. They register as a company legally, but they have no assets. They're not a company with means.
That said, Mr. Ferguson says the unions would like to see the government take concrete steps to implement laws that protect workers from what is being described as companies that front for the true investor.
But when the time comes that they go to court and you succeed in a case in the court, and you go to enforce that judgment, you will not get anything from the judgment because the company owns no assets. I'm saying one of the changes that must be made in the industrial relations system in the Bahamas, that the company that is the employer must be a company of means, something that the worker can attach their judgment to in case something like what's happening at Paradise Island happens.
On Tuesday, Audrey Oswald, president and managing director at Atlantis, said the resort's decision to make the 700 staff members redundant is not a reflection of their work or efforts, and that every detail to provide a smooth transition for the workers has been thoughtfully planned and considered. Jcn Saunders for JCN News.
You're watching JCN News. When we return, a massive fire over on Acklands, a 24-year-old charged with a double homicide, and 2 juveniles arrested for that stabbing at a local school. Stay with us.